Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
Film church.
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Listen, Pancho, I've been clocking you every second you've been in this town. If you want to pick your nose in this truck, you better clear it with me first. Otherwise, I'm taking you and this nitro right into a ditch.
Hello, and welcome to Film Church Radio. This is the podcast that treats cinema as a religion. It's Sunday, I'm Lewis.
And I'm Brandon.
And we are here to talk about movies. Each week, Brandon and I alternate picking a film for us both to watch and discuss. This week, I picked Sorcerer from 1977, starring Roy Schneider and directed by the late, great William Friedkin. If you want to know what we're going to be watching next week, listen to the end of the episode, and Brandon will be telling us all what that film will be. Before we start the show, though, we would like to thank you for listening and sharing the show. We're glad you're here and hopefully watching the film along with us. That's how this podcast works best. You can find us on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. We are Film Church Radio, at Film Church Radio. And you can also follow Brandon and I individually on Letterboxd. We also have some super awesome Film Church Radio merch. We have linked that everywhere. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it in the show notes. The link to that page if you want to pay communion to the church and share it and wear it and do all the fun things that you can't do with an actual church. But with this church, you can wear it on your head. So go ahead and go and check that out. Reasonably priced. They're good quality. We like them. We hope you do too. Before we discuss the film Sorcerer, we are going to do our hymn section. This is where we talk about other films that we've been watching this week. Before we jump into the main film. Little quick reviews. So, Brandon, what have you been watching?
Not a ton this week, but I did catch up with the movie Renfield from this year, where Nicolas Cage is Dracula. Didn't know what to expect. I feel like there's lots of these movies lately that are great ideas and the trailers look really good.
Yeah.
But then you go see them and it's like,
oh.
This was really good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Like after finishing it, it felt kind of like, do you remember when Zombieland came out?
I do.
And it was just like a really good horror comedy and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
That's what this felt like to me.
Nice.
Of course, I didn't see it in cinemas. I saw it on, I think it was Amazon Prime, but I think, now, I don't know. I guess I'm not hearing about it from other people now because everything is so saturated now. So, I don't know. If this had come out 10 years ago, I think it would have done better maybe.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to build up a following. It is cheesy, of course. I mean, that's what you expect. But in a good way. It's got a lot of like violence, but it's done really well. It seems like with a lot of movies that do cheesy horror comedy lately, it's more of just like a reason to get people to come see it. But it felt like with this movie, the filmmakers were actually like having fun with it and wanting to create something that they wanted to see. So like the action is a lot of fun. They really lean into it and you can see what's going on and you could just tell that there was a lot of like love put into it, into the filmmaking side of it. And then like the script is actually pretty good. Like I don't know, like the idea is good. Like when you see the trailer, it's like, oh yeah, let's focus on Renfield. And but then they do this whole thing with there's like this plot about codependency that actually comes through. You know, I feel like subplots like that in movies like these sometimes like are just good ideas, but then they're not fully cooked. And it really felt like, I don't know, all of the ideas were kind of seen through the whole production process of this movie. So yeah, I recommend it. It's really, really good.
Awesome. It didn't feel like, here's Dracula again.
No, because like because it's Nick Cage for one thing, and it's like, and it's him. Like, I don't know, his version is very. It still feels like Dracula. Like it feels like he's paying homage to all the previous iterations, but also he kind of knows he's Nick Cage, so he's like leaning into the Nick Cagey things. And it makes it really I don't know, really interesting, I think. And plus it's more focused on Renfield, so it's like Dracula feels more like a villain in this.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know, there's so much, like all the introductions and stuff is with Renfield, and you really feel for his kind of quote unquote imprisonment in this situation. So when Nick Cage comes in, it really feels, I don't know, it feels fresh, feels new, it feels like actually something we haven't seen before. And then it does, like, I think if you're a fan of Dracula, there are a lot of references and things in there that still kind of honor the originals.
Yeah.
You know, embrace the lore, but also like make fun of it at the same time. It was just a really good balance. Like I said, it's like there's so many things there to balance that you kind of go into a movie like this expecting like, oh, they're not going to get it right. Yeah. But they like nailed it. So yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think you would really like it.
Yeah.
It is still really cheesy, like I said, and like, you know, even though the violence is over the top and stuff, and a little bit like, I don't know, YouTube video-esque, I would say. It's still, it's like, you know, the YouTube videos that they spent millions of dollars on. It's like done really well, you know what I mean? So, and really fun. Yeah. So
I've got to catch up on my 2023 Dracula films, because there's this, and then there's the last voyage of the Dementor or whatever. Yeah. So, you know, I'm falling behind.
I'm wondering what you think of that one too. But yeah, it's really good, man. But that was it for me, but we could talk for a second. I know we haven't seen it, but have you seen all the stuff about Five Nights at Freddy's?
In terms of what? Just that it's doing really well?
Yeah, that it's just like freaking, like it made like $70 million or something, $80 million opening weekend, which is like insanity.
It's good. And I mean, I've never played the video game, but I think that it just speaks to, you know, I read something from a fan that had gone to see it open night and said there was just so much in there that wasn't like pandering, but was kind of nodding for the audience. And it's like, if you're going to make this kind of film, you know who you've got to make it for. Yeah, exactly. You know, and they've just knocked it out of the park. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I know that it took quite a lot, but I mean, I know that the Marvels is trending at like, the ticket sales are really low, like lower than the Flash. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does when that comes out on Friday. Well, it will have come out on Friday, compared to, you know, these other films. Because I worry. I think that Marvel might be having to rethink their strategy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so. I think if they, I don't know. I think they just kind of need to go back to what worked for them in the beginning and just make less films and just make one really good film at a time. I don't know. They need to make more of an event out of going to see a Marvel movie, and right now it's like
another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read somewhere that was like that. I don't know how much of this is just clickbait or if there's actually any, relevance in it. But there's been talks about bringing back the dead characters just to try and boost it, and it's just like that is
definitely the wrong move.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Yeah.
It's silliness.
The trouble is though with this Marvel stuff, if you think about it, I didn't watch. Was it Miss Marvel, the TV show? And for that, I don't feel like there's a bankable superhero. I know that Brie Larson did really well, and like the first film that came out, Captain Marvel. See, I can't even remember the titles, but I know that did really, that did well, and people responded to it well. But I don't know, man. I don't know what they could do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. They probably won't do this because there's so much money invested in it now. But yeah, if they just went back to, I don't know, they kind of fumbled it already. So it's like, what can you do at this point? But I feel like if they had just taken a break after Endgame, that would have been better.
Yeah.
And then slowly started releasing films again. But
got shareholders, haven't they? They've got to ramp up the content and
it's a corporation.
Yeah, it's still going to do really well. It's still going to take a lot of money and break even and, be good for them. But, it's nice when films like Five Nights at Freddy's really kind of hit a mark and really do something that these franchises don't, which is get people excited anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, I don't know, I've been thinking about it and I'm wondering if it's because... Barbenheimer happened and got people back out into the cinemas, and then there was such a big push for Killers of the Flower Moon,
which is doing good.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if those two things have gotten people getting back into the cinema, because it's mostly younger people that are going to see Five Nights at Freddy's, but I feel like maybe that just did so well opening weekend because young people were like, okay, well, here's a movie for us. Let's all go. It was more of an event kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the issue, right? Is that these corporations don't see the 21 to 30 demographic as any kind of bankable thing, and these are the people that we're not Neanderthals. We like Scorsese and stuff. We will go and see the latest film. It's just give it to us. Let us go and see it. Give us more credit. As we saw with Barbie and Oppenheimer. It was the first time in post-COVID where two tentpole films was released the same day. And they both have, what are they, like the top and third highest grossing film of the year or something like that now? It's like, we can do it. We can, we don't have to, I don't know, be starved for any kind of culture.
Yeah.
But
also, what's cool is all of these films that have done well, are originals. Yeah, I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's, it was based on a video game, but it wasn't. It's the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie, so
yeah.
I don't know. Also, I feel like Josh Hutcherson plays a big part too because he does have a big fan base, I think.
Yeah.
And I haven't really seen him since, not in anything theatrical since, Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But he's probably been doing stuff. But yeah, I mean, release on the same day on Peacock. They released it on Peacock on the same day they released it in cinemas. It still made $70 million.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's very exciting. I like things like that. I mean, to say that I'm just looking at Box Office Mojo right now while we're talking, and you get the big hitters, but there's just don't look down. Elemental took a lot more than I think Disney were expecting. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem movie, not a sequel, even though it is a reboot. Five Nights at Freddy's, Scream 6, Megan, all in the top 23, horror films that just did well by word of mouth, really. Scream 6 is a bit more bankable, but Megan especially.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to be a horror fan and a cinema goer.
Did you see Megan?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. I know that it's not really scary. It's more like AI based, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's more of a thriller.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch in cinemas.
It was from Blumhouse, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But all right, well, what have you been watching?
Talking of horror, I watched. I mean, it's not really horror, but it is, I guess. It's Theatre of Blood from 1973. Have you ever heard of this movie?
I don't think so.
It's you. I think you'd really dig it. It's really good. It's Vincent Price as like a thespian actor who everyone thinks is dead, and then he kind of wreaks revenge on some critics that like overlooked him for an award one by one. It's incredible. It's so campy. It's so like gory and well done. It's brilliant. There's one point where he plays a hairdresser, which is typical 70s representation of a hairdresser. He's got hair like yours and like bell bottoms.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just a really fun watch, and it's very funny. And there's a lot of stuff in there that kind of kept me chuckling, and I knew I was going to like it, and I liked it better than I ever thought. I think you'd like it too.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking recently, like that I want to like watch all of Vincent Price's stuff, or at least like the big hitters, because I don't know how much of his stuff I've seen. Obviously, he's like a legend. You know, he's huge. But I was thinking recently, like he definitely seems like my kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like what I would be really into, and so I don't know why I haven't actually gone and sought out all of his films, but yeah, because I like really like Twilight Zone, and I really like that kind of like I don't know, that the theatrics of horror, I guess, where it's like, welcome to the night of, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna have to give this a watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for theatrics, it's definitely got that. Most of the time, it's Vincent Price like giving Shakespeare soliloquies to these very scared critics and swinging axes at them, which just makes for a very fun, entertaining time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I gave it 4.5 out of 5. It's the 4.5 out of 5 day here on Film Church Radio, I think.
Yeah.
Because the next film I watched is a film that's been on my to-watch list for ages, and it's not available on social media. I never see it on streaming. There's been odd times when it's been on TCM, and I've just missed it or not had the channel. So I've been absolutely devastated by it. And it was showing at the BFI in London, and I bought a ticket, but due to family demands, I couldn't go, which was very frustrating. Then I was just scrolling through my social media channels one day, and someone was like, "Hey, you do know that it's available on the Internet Archive for free?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I did not know that." And for anyone that doesn't know, the Internet Archive is a great source of media. They have full books on there that are in the public domain. It's all legal. There's films on there. There's music. There's loads of stuff. And if you go onto Internet Archive, like it's just the full video. There's no ads or anything. I think you have to make an account just to kind of borrow it, quote unquote, because it's kind of like a library. But it's The Crowd from 1928, directed by King Vidor, which is always kind of involved in the greatest films of all time discussion, or like in the the Sight and Sound poll that they do.
The film.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, it's a story. It's not unlike what we haven't seen a million times, but a young couple meet and fall in love, and then it's their kind of struggle of making it in America. And and it doesn't go the ways that you think it does. It's a bit more of a realist approach to the story. The crowd is kind of what they're trying to break away from. For every success story, there's a million people that didn't make it, and this is like the story of one of the millionth people that didn't make it. And do you know when we watch The Apartment, and there's that great scene of Baxter working at the desk, and it kind of just goes on forever and ever.
Yeah.
It's like that shot in film form. It's like, who are these other people? It's like just one of their stories.
Okay.
Which is really, I mean, it's better than being force-fed, like, you're going to make it if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
Because it's like, maybe you won't. Not in like a negative way, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a counterpoint to The Apartment in that he starts to move up the ladder because he's doing, letting them use his apartment for sex and stuff, which is nothing related to his ability in the workplace. So I think that it's very heavily influenced The Apartment. And when I go back for my yearly rewatch of The Apartment, I'm going to be thinking a lot about it. But it's really good and moving and just, not at all what I thought it was going to be when I started watching it. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Boom. Surprised. Nice. I'm not. It's good. Looking forward to watching it again at some point.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, I've been watching quite a lot of silent films recently, so this is definitely a good one. Thumbs up.
Yeah. King Vidor. Are you familiar with him? What else did he do?
I'm not. I don't think I've seen a lot of the stuff that he's done. I think this is the first one I've seen. I've heard him mentioned a lot. I mean, there's films that I've heard of. Stella Dallas with Barbara Stanwyck. There's Duel in the Sun, which is like a Western, I believe. Kind of worked through silent into sound films. I've
definitely heard of Duel in the Sun from Scorsese, I think.
Yeah. But I will be definitely checking out a few more. I think I added Stella Dallas to my watch list. Because I like Barbara Stanwyck. So that will probably be next if I can find it somewhere.
Man, I just want to watch movies all day.
Yeah, this is my constant thought, Brandon. I'm just like, there's too many to watch. I need to watch them all day, every day.
Yeah. Lately, it just seems like I've been only able to barely get into Film Church films for our discussion.
That's what's good. I want to say right now. I mean, this might be sacrilege, I don't know, but silent films are good because if you find them on like YouTube and stuff, you can easily watch them at like 1.5 speed, which is how I've been fitting quite a few in. Because unless, the title cards come up and it's maybe like a line, so you can read that in the time allotted, but it takes like, less time to watch it. So you can watch an 1.5-hour film in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been kind of knocking some of these out, especially some of the ones that I've either seen before or are watching just to kind of tick it off, But
yeah.
You can't do that with regular films because everyone sounds like this all the time.
Yeah. And it probably looks more normal with silent films because they already seem like they're sped up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like if you ever listen to audiobooks a bit faster, once you get used to the cadence, you don't really realize it's being sped up.
Yeah.
So once you get used to them like walking a bit faster, it's okay. Yeah, well, let's move on to our feature presentation. Talking of films we want to knock off our to-watch list, this week we are watching Sorcerer from 1977. The Letterboxd summary reads, "The only wages worth running for, dying for, killing for are the wages of fear. 4 men from different parts of the globe, all hiding from their pasts in the same remote South American town, agree to risk their lives transporting gallons of unstable nitroglycerin across dangerous jungle." This has been onto my watch list, as I said last week, since William Friedkin passed away earlier this year. This is the film that a lot of people kind of was celebrating his life by mentioning or talking about. which was surprising because The Exorcist is obviously so well known, and so loved. So I added it to my watch list, and I thought it'd be a perfect time to watch it. Had you ever were you aware of this film, Brandon?
Not aware of it at all. Friedkin is a director that has been popping up more and more in film stuff I follow. Even before he passed away. So like in the last 2 years, I've been seeing more of him being mentioned. There was like a YouTube interview that I didn't watch all of it, but I had watched pieces of it with him and what's the guy's name? Nicholas Winding Refn.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a ton of his films, but I've definitely gotten on his IMDb and flipped through his filmography, and it does seem like he's been a very, obviously, like, I think his filmography gets overshadowed by The Exorcist, but you take a look in there, and he's been consistently making films, throughout all these years, and been working with loads of great actors, and so I didn't know anything about this movie. Earlier this year I did get a chance to watch The Night They Raided Minsky's from 1963, I think, or sometime in the 60s.
Yeah.
But actually, let me just go and grab it real quick. I'm gonna grab the VHS. Hold on. Okay, so here's the VHS.
Yeah. Nice.
Lots of craziness on the cover and nefarious characters. My sister knows that I like to collect VHSs. So whenever she's in a place that has VHSs, she'll take a look and see what they have.
Nice.
I think she got this at an antique store. Yeah, well, here's all the ladies on the top of the sign.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she picked this up. She's like, this looks interesting. But then she flipped the back over. One of the things you'll see on the back, you'll see the guy who plays the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
But what caught her attention was the description of the film, which I'll read to you now. Britt Eklund stars as Rachel, a beautiful young Amish woman who leaves her Pennsylvania home and comes to New York in the hope of becoming a dancer. While she initially wants to interpret biblical passages through dance, she ends up doing something quite different, inventing the striptease. Anyway, it goes on from there, but it's like, wait, so this Amish woman interprets the Bible through dance and invents the striptease. It's like, you read that, you're like, okay, I've got to see this. Yeah. What the heck is this? Anyway, so we watched that earlier this year, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's like, it reminded me of like, I don't know, it feels like an indie film. Like it feels like a current indie film. Like the way it's shot, the way they use the camera. It's a lot of handheld, a lot of like, actors that you don't recognize except for the Cowardly Lion, of course, in the biggest movie of all time. But like, it just, you can feel the energy of the, it's just early filmmakers like just getting out there and like making something cool,
Yeah.
It's really good, really great.
Awesome.
And really made me be like, man, I gotta watch more of this guy's stuff, because this was a lot of fun.
So you approach this with excitement?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't know anything about it. And the
poster kicks ass, right?
It is a cool poster.
you're like, I want to see this film.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that I didn't actually take a look at the poster before I watched the movie.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at it, because that's definitely like one of the most exciting parts of the film, right there. Spoilers. It's the truck on the bridge. But yeah, based on the title and based on the fact that, you know, this guy directed The Exorcist, you would think it's going to be some kind of like demonic sorcery.
Yeah.
But it's just the name of the truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like what they put on the truck.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, you watch this film and I don't know, you see, I feel like I saw so many things that it seemed like Spielberg maybe was influenced by.
One of the notes I wrote down was inspiration for Lost World, ?
Yeah, Lost World. When did this come out? 77. So it's the same year as Jaws. Is that right? No, Jaws came out 75 or 76 something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like some of the pacing, some of the way that the scenes are, the tension is designed in the scenes. Yeah, definitely felt heavily like Spielberg pulled from this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had no idea where it was going the whole time. I had no idea what it was going to be about. I mean, it's not until an hour in the film that you're like, oh, okay, it's about the journey to take this nitro. But at that point, you've got what, like an hour left? Of the movie? Like
it's
you're
pretty much halfway
through.
Already. Yeah.
But it works. I mean, that whole opening hour is interesting. You know, like it's, even though it's not a part of the plot, it's like I don't know. There's so much texture in the film. There's so much, like the locations are all interesting. The characters are all interesting. Their stories are all interesting. Like you're involved in it. You're not, like, even though I was a little bit like, I wonder where this is going.
Yeah.
I was still like engaged completely, you know?
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing with the night they raided Minsky's. There was a lot of texture, you know, a lot of like, you know, it didn't feel like anybody built any sets. It felt like they just went to a location and they were actually filming around crowds of people, you know, which is probably what they did, but I don't really know. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
I'm not sure either. I would assume so with the location. It doesn't. I mean, I think it would be hard to recreate those locales. Yeah. For me, I think there's two, you know, genius kind of, I don't know, touches to the film. The first is that we get to meet all the characters before we're in this environment. You know, it would have been so easy to have started the film and then tell it through flashback as they're kind of going through. But we get there and we already know that, like, when they're offered a passage back, it's like, well, what's going to be waiting for you when you get back? For all of them, you know, there's going to really be they can't go back to like their everyday life. It's already kind of over. This is like a last ditch attempt to do it. But we know the characters apart from the hitman. Like the only thing we see before this is him shooting someone and getting off a plane. So there's those seeds of kind of, we don't trust him from the start. You know, instantly we're like, this guy is not going to work as a team. Yeah,
he's a loner.
Yeah, which is brilliant because, you know, you think that you know the four that are going into it and you quite like them as a team, and then one gets taken away and replaced by this like randomer who you're like, who is this? Which is great. The other thing that I was surprised at is there's two trucks, which is, to me, was like okay, this is where it's getting interesting, because if there was one truck and they set off at like an hour, you're like, okay, I've got an hour at least before it blows up. But with the two trucks,
You feel like one's gonna.
Yeah.
You feel like one is the expendable one.
Yeah, but you don't know which one because there's like the two main leads, I guess, throughout. One in each truck.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like I don't know where this is going. Every bump in the road makes you kind of like inhale. It's so tense the whole way through, and the fact that it's only an hour. If it had been stretched out anymore, you would have been like, "Oh, come on."
Right, yeah.
It's only 200 miles. How many more obstacles are they going to come across? But it's just the perfect amount of like things that happen to them.
Yeah. Well, even like after the first bridge scene, which is the second truck.
Yeah.
And the guy's like guiding him over the bridge. That scene was very well done. Obviously, lots of mastery and tension.
Yeah.
But I was thinking as it was happening, like, why don't you guys just take the boxes out of the truck, then drive the truck over? Because it's a small bridge.
Yeah.
The second one makes more sense because it's like, there's a storm and it's like wobbly, whatever. But like, yeah, I was like, just take the boxes out, then drive over.
Yeah.
Then carry the boxes over. It's like not a long bridge. And then when they get to the second bridge, I was like, okay, another bridge? Like, is that the only way we're going to create tension? But, I mean, that was like a fleeting thought. It wasn't like, it wasn't like I was being, it sounds like I'm being more critical than I actually was because I really, really enjoyed both of those scenes a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just nail biting.
Yeah, it's like being forced to do something. You've got to sit and watch them cross this bridge, which is incredibly tense and nail biting. They make it across, and you're like, oh, thank God. And then within 20 seconds, it's like, hey, let's go and do that again, but with higher stakes. And it's just like, no, I don't know if my nerves can take it a second time. Yeah. Especially when the bridge breaks and he's clinging on and the truck is coming towards him.
I'm
just like, my God, it's like heightened from the first one so much already. And the first one is tense.
Yeah. Well, especially when the guy falls on the bridge, like falls in the hole and the truck is coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I already, when they got the team together, I was like, this guy's going to be the first one to go. So like, because he just seemed the least interesting of the characters, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. He just seemed like the expendable one, but he lasted a lot longer than I expected.
Especially when he's setting up the bomb to blow up the tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, something's going to go wrong here.
Yeah.
But he didn't at that point.
Nope.
And that may be one of the most satisfying explosions on camera.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of quiet up into that moment. And then when that goes off, it's like, boom. It's so loud and bright and big.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good. Yeah. They did it,
Boom, baby.
Yeah.
Good
Clears
stuff.
the path. Yes. Roy is it Scheider? I've always said Schneider, and I think that's just.
I know. I was like, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
But there's no N in there.
No, so it must be Scheider.
Roy Scheiter. No, it's not Roy Scheider. It's Roy Scheider, not
Scheider.
Not Shatter.
No. I've only really seen him in, I think he was in French Connection, but Jaws. I mean, mostly Jaws.
Yeah, of course.
He's great.
Dude, he is such a classic actor. Like I was thinking like in one of the early scenes when he gets into the country and he's just like sitting in the bar and then he's like walking, he like goes outside, he starts walking down the street and he puts his hat on and he's just walking away from the camera. I was like, man, I can't think of any actor that currently that I can compare to.
Yeah.
Like he just feels so, if he feels like out of another time, which he is, but like I mean like Humphrey Bogart kind of style. You know what I mean? Like
he looks great in a suit and a trilby. He looks great dirty and disheveled. He looks great in Madness. You know, it's just he must be a director's dream.
Yeah.
Because he just like everything he pulls off, you know.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah, and he's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. You never feel like he's acting.
No.
It just feels like a real, like, I don't know, man's man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. And then we've got the French like main driver, I guess, like the other kind of side of the coin, played by Bruce Clemmer, I guess. His story is super interesting and not, you know, he's just hiding out because he's embezzled all his money and he's been, you know, found of insider trading. Yeah. I love the scene. I mean, it's so well done when the guy, because I was like, are we going to see this like multiple times where the guy comes to see him and it's like, he won't like give you the money. He's not going to bail you out. And he's like, no, you go and ask him again and make sure he does. And I was like, I don't know where this scene's going. And then obviously like his companion like shoots himself.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly like, oh, Jesus. And then he goes back in, says, I'll tell my wife I've been called away. And he literally runs from the restaurant.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny in a weird way. I just love him kind of standing there for a second and then just taking off, like running around the corner.
All right, I'm going to run.
Yeah.
I'm on foot now. Yeah, it reminded me, I just rewatched a sketch from the comedy show I Think You Should Leave on Netflix. And there's like a bit in there where I won't ruin the bit.
Yeah.
Well, the first part of the bit. I'll ruin the end. But there's a part where Tim Robinson is like trying to get away in a car and he like drives over like a cement like parking thing, like to stop you from going forward. He drives over it and gets stuck. And then he's like, you know, there's like this guy yelling at him or whatever. And they're having this argument. And then at the way the sketch ends is he's just like, oh yeah, I can run. And he just gets out of the car and starts running off. So it just kind of reminded me of that. It's like, all right, bye.
It was great. It gave me a little bit of a chuckle because it's very like dark until that point. Yeah. I was like, oh cool, you take off, dude. You know, his wife looking through the window like, where the hell's he going? Just running through the fields. Did you have any indication that he was going to die? You know, because I was thinking when he gives the letter to like the guy who organizes it all, I was like, that as a lover of film, I should be like, yeah, he's going to die because he's given, you know, there's like a legacy for him to leave. You know, he's not going to.
Yeah.
But at the time, I did not think of it at all.
When he died?
Or... Like when he gives the letter across, I wasn't yep, your time's up, fella. You know.
Yeah, I think the film, like, it does a good job of, at that point, you know, you're an hour into the film, you still don't really know where it's going.
Yeah.
Because none of the characters exactly feel like they're the main character.
No.
The only reason you might feel like Roy Scheider is because he's like in Jaws, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the main guy. You know?
Yeah.
But you know, the film doesn't open with him, right? So like.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, he's either third.
Yeah.
Person we see, because we see the assassin first, and then the guy who makes the bomb.
Yeah.
And then it's him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think at that point you just don't know. You feel like you're on a journey, like you know, whatever. You wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah.
But it's the movie still manages to surprise you.
I know the way that it happens as well.
Yeah.
They get through all these obstacles, and then a tire blows.
Yeah, and it's just it's in the middle of their conversation. Like it's just so unexpected. It's just it's not the movie is like building all these moments of tension where it's like but then when it happens, it's
there's no tension.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it is so matter of fact. There's no kind of reverse angle of it blowing up. The tire blows, it goes off the road, it explodes. We cut to the other truck, kind of coming around the corner, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and it takes a minute for it to explode too, because it's like the tire blows, you get like the reaction shots, then you get the shot of the truck flipping over the freaking hill, and then it boom
blows. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, it's
so it gives you a moment to be like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Like, and then it happens, and it's just like, oh, man. Like,
yeah.
Damn.
It's brill. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing, I was just like, oh, fuck.
I know. Yeah. And then you get the gorillas in the jungle coming out to try and rob them when they discovered, it's so.
And you don't know how that's going to end either.
No.
It's like another brilliant.
Yeah. You kind of just like, take it. Take the truck. And I think that's probably what Roy Scheider's doing as well. He's just like, it's full of food and supplies. And they're like, okay, we'll take it. And he's like, thank God. Get it gone. I don't want to be around this anymore. But unfortunately, he has to keep driving.
Yeah.
And he makes it. He does it.
He did it. Good job, Roy.
Yeah, his life's about to get so much better because he did this. Oh, no, wait. That's not the message of the film. The message of the film is, who cares? You're already dead.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So what happens at the end? Like, that's his friend, right? That sent him over, like gave him.
Isn't it the guy who they shot's brother who wanted him dead? I think. When he's like, you've got to get out of town. The bishop or the vicar you shot his brothers wants you're dead. Isn't that him?
I don't know.
It's one of them. I think it would add an extra layer if it is his friend that told him to get out of town, because that would mean that he's been like recruited to find him by this other guy. But yeah, I mean, he dies, right? He gets shot.
Is there a gunshot?
Mm-hmm. Oh, the last thing is like a gunshot, yeah, and then the credits crawl.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, any of them, though, apart from maybe the assassin fella, any of them probably wouldn't have like gone back to the life that they wanted anyway.
No.
I think he realizes that it's like the thing he's been holding on to the whole time is like, I just need the money and the passport to get out of here. And then when it's in front of him, he's like, what am I going back to? I'm just going to go and die. He doesn't even have to leave.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very, I don't know, depressing ending. You don't come out of it like, they did it. Hey, you made it.
Did you get some Reservoir Dogs vibes?
I didn't, but now that you say it, it makes there's definitely some influences there.
Especially the opening like heist and all that. And then the way that the inside the car is filmed with all, four of the gangsters like before they have the crash or whatever. Yeah, I think I only watched it once. So like a lot of the opening scenes and intros to the characters were hard to keep track of. Yeah. The first, for this first watch, because I wasn't quite sure what was going on. Mm-hmm. And then yeah, so I think now that I know like the all who I'm supposed to be paying attention to, it might be easier
Yeah.
to kind of pick up on a lot more the second time around.
Mm.
But I'm trying to click through that part of the movie where the guy tells him where to go. See if I can see if it's the same guy. Oh, did you notice Friedkin also? I think he was the priest.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Hmm. That would make sense. Since the last film was more about faith. Kind of that link between the two.
Yeah.
No, I didn't notice him, but it's based. I mean, at the end he thanks H.G. Clouseau, who directed. I mean, this is a remake of Wages of Fear from 1953, directed by Clouseau, which I think sound pretty similar. I have got Wages of Fear, but I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, I think that it's quite a similar premise. So I'll be interested to see how this one is.
Wages of Fear is what now? Sorry.
Is the film that it's based on. It's this is a remake of Wages of Fear.
Got you.
Yeah. And Clouseau did a really great Hitchcockian film called Diabolique, which is brilliant. So yeah, I would definitely say that this is on my to-watch list, The Wages of Fear, after this.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I saw a little clip on YouTube of Friedkin introducing this film to an audience and basically saying it's the film that he's like most proud of. It's like the only film that he wouldn't touch.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
And I think that, the directorial decisions are really clever as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even with the rain and like with crossing the bridge and stuff, you never feel like you're being shortchanged, that it's like the camera is tricking you into seeing what you're not seeing. When the bridge is like breaking, it's actually snapping while the truck is going over it, And when it's swaying, it is like nearly tipping over. I don't know how they got some of these shots or who was driving that vehicle, because it's brill. It's so like entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
So it is the guy who basically tells him where to go. All right, how he's like, I don't know where you're going.
Yeah. Ooh. So he's obviously been asked to find him.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, everybody dies.
You did.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
But they saved the country, right? Supposedly.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
Or the village.
Oh, man. It's good. The village. It's good. It's good. The action's really well shot. The stories are really well fleshed out. Each one is a believable person. Yeah, it's an entertaining film. I would highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it yet and you've listened to us talk about it, what are you doing?
We just
go and watch it first. Yeah. It's better if you don't know what's going to happen. Unless you're one of those people that reads the last page first of any book. I don't understand that. But you should definitely go and watch it if you haven't. Anything else you want to say about Sorcerer, Bran?
No.
Yeah, I mean, William Friedkin, he's brilliant. Some other recommendations if you're, like us and kind of only seen maybe The Exorcist. I mean, French Connection, I always forget, is Friedkin, which is really good. Cruising is brilliant. It's Al Pacino going undercover in like the New York gay scene to find a serial killer. It's ace. I would recommend Cruising. Yeah, definitely really, really good. They're the ones I've seen. Obviously, you would recommend The Night They Raided Minsky's.
Yeah.
Which I do want to see now. Britt Eklund accidentally inventing the striptease. Cool. I'm in. And he's got a new film out. It's like literally just come to streaming, the K9 Mutiny Court Martial, with Kiefer Sutherland in it, which seems to be a bit of like a courtroom drama, which is getting quite good reviews. So there's a lot of freaking out there if you want to kind of fill in those gaps. Yeah,
fill in
definitely
those freaking gaps.
Yeah, and there's a film that sounds right up your alley, Brandon, with Matthew McConaughey called Killer Joe.
Yeah, I was looking at that. No, actually, I don't think it's the same film I'm thinking of. But yeah, I mean, Matthew McConaughey, Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm sure there's a lot in there to be going on. It doesn't seem like any of his films is the same as any other.
Yeah, which is great. That's
cool.
the kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the dream, dude. It's like to just make films and not have to be like, you know, because like with Spielberg, there's just so much expectation.
Yeah.
To be a Spielberg film.
Yeah.
But you know, or like if you make a horror movie, you're expected to like keep making horror movies. It's like, no, I want to do everything.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Well, do you want to go ahead and guess what we've rated it on Letterboxd?
Yeah. This might be a 5 out of 5 for you.
Mm-hmm. I think you rated it 4.5.
Okay. I actually haven't even really thought about what I rated it.
But you would be right. I did rate it 5.
Yeah.
I thought it was... I don't know how it could be improved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's like, you know... I enjoyed it a lot. I think it is 5 out of 5.
Awesome. And I think one that you would enjoy going back to rewatch again. It's not like, wow, that was great. I think I've got everything out of it. I think it would be like, no, I want to go back and, you know, focus on a different character. It's a bit like Seven Samurai. I want to go back and maybe not be looking for Roy Scheider everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hey.
10
out of 10 from FCR. So if that ain't a recommendation, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
What are we going to be watching next week?
So I decided to kind of keep the same vibes. People going on a journey in the 70s.
Yeah.
Highly regarded and talked about film, nominated for 3 Oscars. 1972. 3 guys on a canoe. Do you know what it is?
Is it horror adjacent?
Maybe. I actually don't really know.
It's
thriller. Adventure drama thriller.
Is it Deliverance?
Yes.
I've added it to my watch list like earlier this year.
Nice.
Burt Reynolds.
John Voight.
Yeah. Oh, man. I've heard it's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep.
You're excited.
I'm excited. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, this has been on my watch list for 9 years, I think.
Yeah.
But because I also took a journey on a canoe.
Wow.
I don't think it's the same journey.
Well, I was going to say, we can compare notes next week.
But yeah, I'm excited. I think this is I've been wanting to watch it for a while. So
Aces. Yeah, that sounds great. Looking forward to knocking that off the list. So that brings us to the end of the show. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Film Church Radio, and you can follow us individually on Letterboxd. Brandon is at Summonscope. I am at Walker Lewis 3007 to keep up with what we've been watching. We also have all of our back episodes streaming on all good podcast platforms. So go ahead, leave us a rating and review so we know if you like the film. If you didn't know what you'd pick for us to watch in the future. If you have any questions for Brandon and I that you want us to answer, please send them in. We're looking forward to hearing anything that you may want to ask. Thank you so much for being here, and we hope to see you next Sunday for more Film Church Radio. The only thing left to say is... What are you going to do with all that money, you hump? Talk to me. What are you going to do?
get laid. Best whore in Managua.
2 whores. 2 best whores in Managua.
You do it. For me.
We need to soundbite that, like, get laid.
Film Church Radio.
So much feeling. Amen.
Amen.